Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and today we're going to be unboxing a game I've been waiting for a very long time, one I'm really excited for, and this game is called Kingdom Death Monster. If you haven't heard of it, it is a boutique horror game, and I really do enjoy the horror genre. This one, however, is, and this is a disclaimer, is an adult-themed horror game, so it's something to be aware of. There may be things in this game that you may find disturbing, whereas some other people may not, but at the same time, it's a game to be... it's one of those games that enters the hobby and really makes people turn their heads. Essentially, there's just a lot going on in this. It's a behemoth. It comes in at 23 pounds in terms of its weight. It's a monster on the table. As you can see, the box takes up almost a large majority of the center of the Game Anywhere table, which is a crazy amount of space. But I'm really excited to unbox this. The main reason for this video is that I want to show you what's inside of it, because if you ever choose in the future to pick this up either through a Kickstarter or through the Kingdom Death Monster store, because those are the only two places you're going to be able to get this, this is like one of those games where it's not going to exactly work out for you to pick this up in a retail store, because this game is not carried in a retail store. Because of its not only content, I believe, as well as its size, and just the logistics of everything involved in creating such a behemoth. I don't think it'll ever see the light of day in retail, so if you ever want to pick this thing up, at least this video will help you determine whether this is something that might be in your ballpark, or maybe you'll decide against it. Either way, it's just meant to be an informative video on what's inside this box. So the first thing we're going to do is going to actually pull this thing out. Now, what you'll notice right off is that this is not in plastic. So it was in plastic, it was wrapped. I had to take it off because, as you'll notice in my camera here, it's actually not pristine quality right now. It's a little bit glary, and the reason for that is because my room is very gray, and with that being so gray, as well as the box being so jet black, the camera cannot even handle the contrast in the room, and sometimes it just loses focus. So if any point in time during the video it happens, don't worry, I will get it back focused again. But you can thank Kingdom Death Monster for even breaking the camera, not only just breaking your soul as you play it and killing you, it will also kill your camera just filming the thing. So that's great. So let's get right into the unboxing. I'm going to take the top off this thing. We'll take a look inside and see what it's all about. So I'm going to come over here and we're going to grab this box. And of course, I'm going to show you the bottom of the box at the end of the unboxing, because I don't want to flip this thing over and have everything just get tossed around. So at the very bottom, or on the side I should say, it says Monster. There's a nice sheen. One thing I didn't mention whatsoever was on the top of the box, there's also an amazing picture or embossed kind of image of the Watcher, and again, that's also shiny. So as light hits it, it really shines nicely. It does really have kind of an Apple box kind of feel, and I really don't want to compare it to Apple, but essentially the cardboard feel and the heaviness and the quality is there. But the top of this box has a really unique, soft cardboard feel. I don't know what's on it. It feels like a weird velvety kind of feel to it. I don't know exactly what type of material they're using for it, but it just screams quality, really, at the end of the day. And then on the other side, or at least on the far side of the box, is 1.5, and this just bear in mind the number of the actual Kingdom Death current version. So we'll put this off to the side for now, because we don't need to see the box cover anymore, but just to make mention, fantastic amount of quality there. On top of it, for those of you who are waiting for your game to come in the mail, like I mentioned, I believe earlier in this video here, I had a couple dings and dents in the box. The packaging was so phenomenal with the styrofoam along the edges on either side. I think it was about 1 centimeter or 2 thick. It handled all the dents and bruises and stuff like that of the game, no problem. I don't have any visual dents or dings on my game. However, I'm sure that if you do, that they would be able to be willing to rectify that problem. But let's get back into the unboxing. So right here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm not going to zoom into it because my camera will go crazy. But right on the side here, it just has death. Like, I think maybe it's probably 300 times. There's just tiny font, and it just says death, death, death everywhere. And that's essentially what this game's all about. You are going to die. You're going to create a settlement, you're going to go through all these hunts, you're going to find all these monsters, you're going to encounter monsters, you're going to fight monsters, you're going to defeat some, but you are going to die, you're going to lose people from your settlement. It is a crazy game. So the first thing you're seeing here is the miniature assembly, and they have the site here, buildkingdomdeath.com. Now, great resource, that's good for miniature assembly, but from what I'm hearing from the community is that Vibrant Lantern is exactly where you want to go. So yes, use this as a resource, but also be sure to check out Vibrant Lantern, as it has phenomenal tutorials and to show you step-by-step procedures on how to build these miniatures, because this is kind of like, and again, I am not comparing quality of miniatures whatsoever when I say this, I'm just comparing it to the only model game that I have that involves assembly, is Shadows of Brimstone. It has just tons of sprues in it, and you're going to have to know how to put these monsters together, and so Vibrant Lantern, what it's really doing is it's going to show you step-by-step how to do so, and honestly, there's nothing that beats it. So let's go ahead and pull this top part out. So this first section you're going to see here is the miniature assembly. So again, there's the website miniature assembly. It's a fairly big box because it spans across the entire base. It looks like it's about, I don't know, that looks to me about 2 inches thick. So we'll go into this in a second, but we'll maybe do that last actually, just to make life easy. So let's go through these pieces, which is the main parts of the box. So I'm just going to bring this a little bit forward, and we'll start from here. So this right here is a new board. Now I shouldn't say it's a new board. This used to be, in the first 1.0 version, this hunt board essentially used to be just basically a piece of cardboard. It was very flimsy and flat, and I believe you could bend it and stuff like that, could get damaged easily. In the new version, he's made this an actual board, kind of like just like a regular board game. It's actually trifold, so you can fold it all up, and he's also made some changes. The hunt board itself is quite long, so as you can see, you start right here at the far end, over here in the start position. You make your way along the hunt board, where you eventually hit overwhelming darkness, which is terrifying and horrible, and then you get all the way to even past that, to the point of just flat out starvation. Okay, so there's all kinds of gameplay mechanics, and I'm not going to be explaining any of that in this video, but I'm just going to show you exactly what's on these boards so you can see. So on the opposite side, you have like the settlement phase tracks. This is kind of like where you're going to do all your settlement stuff. So you're going to do things like setting up the settlement, survivors returning, gaining endeavors, updating the timeline, updating the death count, because that's fun. You know, if you have a game that says updating the death count, you're going to die quite often. Check milestone story events, develop, and of course you've got a bunch of deck spots here for innovations. Settlement locations sit below this area. Then you've got your innovation deck here. You've got your prepare departing survivors. You've got kind of your special showdown, which essentially is right here. Number 9. Record and archive resources, and then finally the end settlement phase. So very cool. It's a nice resource to have that, just to know exactly the order of things. And again, I'm going to be learning a lot about this as I go through this. So the next thing you're going to pull out is going to be a big plastic wrap here of a bunch of tokens. Now it doesn't look like a lot of tokens because it's really not that thick. There's looks like there's 2 of them on top, maybe 3 total with this one up here. They're all shrink wrapped, but when you're talking about the width of this game and how insane it is, it's actually quite a bit of tokens, and they're fairly large tokens, so that's really good. I'm probably going to end up, as a tip, I'm going to likely be buying coin cases for these, and I actually have a very interesting video I think all of you guys are going to want to check out. So the first time, if this is the first time you're on the channel and you're just checking out a Kingdom Death unboxing just for the heck of it, I want to make mention of the fact that I will be showing a featured product that's going to involve replacing some of these tokens with some incredible content that you can add to your game to really bling it out, make it even more spectacular. And on top of that, if you check that video out when I release it coming up in the future, very near future, you're going to be able to get a discount on that, which is even more exciting. So I'm hoping that I'm able to help with the community and able to basically pimp out your game, make it even more exciting. So what do we got here? I'm not going to tear these open just yet. Well, we got things like reroll tokens. We've got things like endeavor tokens are here. Priority target token. This is a really handy resource sheet that I don't think was part of 1.0, so that's going to be really nice and useful. We'll tear into this maybe if we have time in a second, but I'll just continue along. So the next thing you're going to see, oh geez, this is going to be a monster. So this is going to be the actual game board, which is just huge. Obviously, it's going to be the size of the box times 3. Sorry for any kind of blurriness that happens. Again, the sheen on the, as you'll notice here, as soon as I basically move anything around that has plastic wrap on it, my camera kind of loses its mind just a little bit. So I'll do my best here to try to regain that focus again. There we go. Sorry about that. So that's the only downside, I guess, of this whole situation is it's packaged phenomenally, but my camera really doesn't like it when it hits a huge screen full of plastic. It really doesn't. So I'm just off camera right now, and what I'm doing is I'm cutting into the board itself. I'm trying to find a nice safe spot to gouge it so I don't regret it later. This looks good. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to tear this plastic off, and this way we can save the camera from having to go through the pain and suffering of focusing again. Now I may need to make some room here in order to show this, so this might be something I have to wait for, but at least if I get it out of the packaging, we won't have to worry about it being in the way. So this right here, now this will look pretty good. I can just lay it right on top of the box. This is the actual game board. Oh geez, and there's more to it there. This is huge. Okay, so I'm going to try to lay this down. I think this is correctly laid out. I may have to flip it around. But there you go. That is the game board. It is ridiculous. So again, this is hovering, so it looks higher than it actually is, as you can see down below here. But essentially, this is kind of hovering up, so it is massive. Grid-wise, this thing goes from way up in the top corner. It starts with A, goes all the way down to the bottom right corner, and shows P right here. Over here goes from 1 all the way over to 22, I believe. And again, on the far side over here, we've got a bunch of deck areas. So you can actually put your decks, which is fantastic. Again, the artwork on the actual main board is terrifying and very, very cool at the same time. So again, going down that whole adult-themed kind of freaky horror. It's very, very interesting. And you can tell, just because the monster size of this game is so outrageously massive, they need a board this big to be able to have those massive showdowns on. So this is going to be your main game board that you're going to play on. And on the back side, there's absolutely nothing. It's just one-sided. That's one thing about this game I was always wondering about, is whether they should have made use of the opposite side of the board and done like a double-sided board. I think that would have been a really good use of you know, such a gigantic board. They might have been able to swing having 2 different environments with that, but you know, there's still tons in this thing. Okay, so now we get into the meat and potatoes of the actual core game, which is still a ridiculous amount of stuff. So bear with me as I try to go through these one at a time. So we'll start off with the simple stuff. So let's go with cards. I'm not going to rip these packs open right away, but this is an example of some cards. Now this says right here, Final Lantern. It's an item. So this is what the artwork looks like. It's very clean. The card size is about the size of the palm of your hand. It's not like massively large. You'll notice in these top corners, there's these little blue and green. When you're actually collecting these types of items throughout the game and building your sets and whatnot on your character sheet, and we'll talk about that actually right now, you'll see right here, this is the character sheet. So this is what you're going to throw in front of the individuals that you're playing with. So this is going to have a 3x3 grid, and when you actually gain an item, you're going to plot that item on this grid somewhere. Again, there's probably restrictions as to where you can put it, but there's these little green and blue cards. On every single card underneath this that is an item, they're all different. And again, they can be different combinations of colors, but essentially the idea is if I was to have a card here that has blue on this side, then I could essentially put another card here, and if I had blue over here, and those 2 blues were touching each other, you've got a synergy between the 2, and there's bonuses and different game results that can come from that. So in other words, you can really build gear that works off each other. For instance, here you go right there. So you can have like the Almanac as an item, soluble, flammable item, and you can have it connect into the Final Lantern, and there's a bonus within the game system to allow you to get a bonus from that. And I don't know what that exactly entails, but I just want to make mention of that. So again, you've got this is just an item. On the opposite side, this is a rawhide headband. So there's an example of the armor set. So again, it's not as easy to see it through the plastic, but bear with me on that. But the artwork's still pretty phenomenal. It's pretty cool, and I really like the slick, clean look of it. Almanac, item, soluble, flammable. So there you go, and then you flip it over to the other side. This is the stone circle. So I'm not too sure. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in here. The one thing you'll notice too that I'll talk about as we go along is an absolutely amazing insert in this game. Is perfect for anybody that wants, like, I don't see many games that have an insert this good. Just flat out, I just don't. So this is going to be your dividers. This one here says rare gear. I'm sure there's a bunch of them in there. We'll rip that open at another time. And then, of course, another set of cards. So if you're talking card-wise in this thing, you're not missing out. There's what you're going to get in the base game for this size of cards. This will actually show you a weapon. This is pretty cool. So this is a King Spear. It's a melee weapon. And then on the back side, it says Skinnery. So again, I don't know too much about that, but you can see there's tons of room for all the expansions that'll come in the future and things like that. So we've done that. Next up was going to be your actual character sheet. So these character sheets, You can actually pick these up from Board Game Geek as well, because of course you don't need to use these ones exactly, but there's quite a few, so you're not going to run out very quickly, and if you do need them, you can find them on Board Game Geek. Character sheet's going to give you everything you need, so if you want to pause the screen in order to take a quick look in detail in order to see everything that's on there, feel free to do that. So this is two separate sections of that. Next up, we've got the settlement sheet. I don't know, or this is just really your campaign sheet, essentially showing you kind of how you're going to move throughout the lantern years, is what they call them, as you go through, and you're going to basically be building up your settlements. You're going to give it a name. You're going to track your death count. You've got settlement locations, like what you built. You got innovations that you found, principles, quarries, milestone, story events, all that kind of stuff on a nice sheet. It's not as much as the character sheets because you're only using one when you're using likely 4 character sheets. So you're not going to go through them as fast, but again, on Board Game Geek, you'll find everything there. Next up, we'll look at the dice. The dice are pretty nice in this one. Dice are nice. They really are. I don't mean that. They really did a good job with the dice, and the reason I say that is they really made them custom to Kingdom Death. So you're going to see these as the most common dice for Kingdom Death, and that doesn't look too phenomenal. It looks like any other dice, right? But if I was to flip them around to a certain side, you'll notice there's a lantern in one of the positions. So that's one of the major things you can get on the die that tie into the mechanics of the game. You end up in the bag, you get 5 of these, and then you get 1 white one. You get 1 red one, which I'm assuming probably is likely for critical hits, would be my guess, because it's red. I could be wrong on that. You get 4 hit location dice. These are really cool. These are embossed and also engraved. So the centerpiece pops out, and so does the sides, but it's also embossed and kind of, so it's in and out. It's perfect, and it really does feel nice. It has a nice kind of edge to it. The dice are high quality, so there's your head. If you roll that, you hit your head, you hit your torso, or that's not your torso, your waist, sorry, your foot. What the heck is that? That's probably your torso, would be my guess. Your hand, that type of thing. So it's just cool. When you do happen to get hit, you roll, you're like, ah, crap, I just got hit in the waist. So you kind of figure out as you go along when you're getting these hits, that's how you're going to figure out what area you're getting damaged by. All right, so next up is the divider cards again. This is going to be dividers for the major cards along here, which we'll talk about that are over on this side of the bin. Next up, you're going to do your settlement events. There's a big deck of those. This is the first day. They give you a whole bunch of story text and a whole bunch of wonderful things that I don't know have time to talk about. Next up is the these are like the settlement locations. So like the Barber Surgeon, for instance, is one of them. Has really phenomenal artwork. Again, I have to apologize for the glare because I'm not ripping these open in this particular unboxing. But it's going to show you all the cool things you can build. So these are things you can build: a first aid kit or a scavenger kit, a bug trap. All these things you can build, and there's a bunch of them. So as you go through this campaign, you can build these things and increase your settlement. So that's really cool. Again, whole area to store it. Next up is going to be the hardcover rulebook. This is really, really cool. In this particular video, I'm not going to crack this open, or maybe I'm going to lie and actually do it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to put this to the side for a second because I don't know how much time I have, but I'll see if I can make this work. We've got 4 massive decks of cards, which again, I cannot cut open and show you, but I can quickly give you an idea as to cards quality here. So this is like a secret fighting art, the King's Step. Got a whole bunch of text. Again, very clean-cut cards, really nice. And on the back, there's a disorders, so it's showing you the word disorders. D is in the middle, so it helps you kind of determine what the heck you're looking at. This one here is the gilded, I can't even pronounce that. It's got the wound section, critical wound section. If I flip this over, this is the Butcher. So this is getting into some of the enemies, and I don't even know what this card actually is for. It could be for his AI, it may not be, I don't know. We'll be learning that soon. Stolen Dreams. This is a survivor status card. Again, gives you a bunch of information about the particular card. Special Hunt Event. A lot of the backs of cards look like this with different variations of the artwork. So you'll notice a similar uniform look across the cards, which is also really beautiful, really well done. There's the really cool AI card. So the one thing with the game that's really spectacular is the fact they built AI in for all the monsters. So when you're actually going through, you might be fighting the Butcher, for instance, and if this is an AI card, which I'm not sure if it is, but I think it is, this will tell you its AI and what it's going to do. So Butcher's Roar, that's what he's going to do. Here's just picking a target, all, you know, and that kind of thing. So it's really cool that the game has AI for its biggest, baddest showdowns, and that's really awesome. Okay, so we've gone through all those cards. What I'm going to probably do is try to see, Can't say I can get this open perfectly. Let's see. I'm going to try to crack this rule book because I can't and I won't show everything in this rule book for a number of reasons. One, I don't want to, mainly because I don't want to spoil things. I think that a person that purchases this should be experiencing this for themselves because, well, it truly is a work of art, as the best way to say it, in terms of the quality. But at the same time, I also want to show you guys a little bit of what's inside, so you're not totally mistaken. But again, really fancy rulebook, hardcover, has a bookmark, which is extremely fancy. So we're going to go ahead and flip this open. First time I've ever cracked the page on this. You can even hear it just cracking open for the first time. So there you go. There's like one example of the artwork. So again, this is more of like the subtle stuff because again, the game has some extremely graphic content as well. So here's a really nice piece of artwork, for instance. This is actually what you see without me having to flip the game box over on its back. This is the artwork you'd see on the back. Again, absolutely phenomenal artwork. Starts right off with a story, so it's just really cool. And of course, I don't want to spoil too much, but you know, this individual wakes up in a world he doesn't understand and stuff like that. So it's going to give you some text on that. And again, as you're going through it, you've got a story progressing and stuff like this. So it's just really cool. There's a vicious picture of the lion. This is the very first boss you fight. And he's not exactly the most pleasant individual. He will tear you limb for limb. So that's pretty much all I want to show you because again, it goes into spoiler territory and it's best for you to find that stuff as you go through the game. That's kind of part of the fun of the whole thing. So anyway, hopefully this was a good idea of what's in the box. The other thing I didn't talk about was this right here, which I'm not too familiar with, but it looks like it sits on the edge of the game board. So when that big game board over here is put out, you've got the AI deck, the hit location deck, basic actions, wound stack, traits, you got your moods, and a couple tokens to track things. So this is not hard cardboard, it's a little bit more flimsy, but it's simply just a place just to have placeholders for stuff so that, you know, the decks aren't strewn around everywhere unorganized. So that's nice to have in the box, and I'm glad they included that. That was nice. So the only other thing that I could do, which I don't know if it's necessarily worth it, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually not open this pack up because I'm going to be showing you there's a whole bunch of terrain tokens on the back of this, and I think what I'm going to do is wait, and I'm going to show you what that's all about in the next video. I'm going to be doing a featured product video on something I think you guys are really going to like. So for people that are brand new to Kingdom Death Monster, you may not be interested, but for those of you who love it and have been a part of it for a long time and looking for a way to increase your experience, I think you're going to love what I've got coming for you. So anyway, this is the unboxing without unboxing absolutely everything. I didn't tear into the cards, so I hope this was informative enough to show you what's inside the box. The only thing I didn't actually show you, which I should have, was the miniature assembly. I actually kind of forgot about that. So I'm a horrible person. I don't even know if I have the time to do this. But you know what, guys? At the end of the day, it's a humongous box of miniatures. So if you've ever played a miniature game before, you're not going to be like, oh, I didn't know what that was. There's no point in really showing you this because it's all disassembled, but there's a ridiculous amount of miniatures in here. So this is one of those games you have to know, disclaimer up front, you got to build this stuff in order to enjoy it. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the unboxing. I'll see you in the next featured product video. As always, keep on rolling solo.